right, thank you so much for that. How many of you want to finish like a rock star, 2025? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about life insurance, annuities, and I'll give you some of my best ideas on how to finish. So let's get going. Number one, I think it's so important to know what's going on in the economy. And right now we are $37 trillion in debt. Each one of you owes, what, $326,000? So I hope you get that into Uncle Sugar. They need it. But what does that mean? Well, 37 trillion, when interest rates were 1%, we'd have to pay about 370 billion. That's a lot of money in interest, but we could afford it. But interest rates aren't 1%, they're close to now 5%. And now we're talking 1.8 trillion. Remember, the whole defense budget isn't even $1 trillion yet. So we are now paying more in interest on the debt than the entire defense budget. And then we know it's not going to stay at 37 trillion. When it hits 50 trillion, that'd be 2.5 trillion just on interest on the debt. What does this mean? This means taxes are going to have to go up at some point. They're going to have to go up. This is unsustainable, all right? And in times of uncertainty, when there's all this uncertainty in the world, what people crave is certainty, which is what we offer. We have guaranteed products. We have guaranteed income, guaranteed cash values, guaranteed interest rates. People want certainty in times of uncertainty. Number two, your clients are going to live a lot longer than what they may think. With AI and all these medical technologies, soon they're going to be you're going to be able to order a new liver off of Amazon, left or right. Do you want it small, medium, or large? And I mean, you're going to be able to do things like this. They're going to develop medicine that will be just for you. You're not going to go get an antibiotic. You're going to get your antibiotic. And so what this KBM Consulting put together is they said, okay, let's take out people who are prisoners, drug dealers, people who have significant medical issues. If you're just a regular retired couple that maybe got some aches and pains, but you don't have any severe problems, how long will you live? And this is a male. Life expectancy for a healthy 65-year-old man is now 94. There's a 15% chance that he will live to be 101 and a 5% chance that he will live to be 104. When it comes to women, 50% chance she will live to be 94, 15% chance she'll live to 101, and a 5% chance that she'll live to 105. And you say 5%, that's 1 out of every 20 women is going to live to be 105. And then if you go a couple, a male and a female, what's their life expectancy as a couple? There's a 50% chance one of them will live to be 98. 15% chance one of them will live to be 103, and a 5% chance one of them will live to be 106. And so I think people are far underestimating how long they're going to live. Time magazine said the first person to live to 140 is alive today. So just think on that, all right? And then this is male and female. If they make it to 85 and they're still fairly healthy, their life expectancy now is 99. 15% chance that they'll get 104 and 5% chance they'll live to be 107. So people are going to live a lot longer than they think. But we have the solution for that, because our products do something that no other product does, and that is pay them income for the rest of their life, no matter how long they live. And the secret sauce to guaranteed lifetime income are the mortality credits. And when you look at the SPIA payout rates, I look at SPIA payout rates pretty regular just to kind of see what is the baseline income. These are some of the highest payout rates you've seen in a decade, all right? And these are guaranteed for life. And now remember, those are payout rates. Those aren't interest rates. Every check that a client gets from an annuity is composed of 3 parts. Part number 1 is principal. That's the orange box. Anybody can give you principal. Part number 2 is interest or investment gain. That's the gray box. Anybody can give that to you. But the third ingredient is the secret sauce that only a life insurance company can manufacture. That in paychecks and playchecks I call mortality credits, and Don't Worry, Retire Happy I call longevity credits. It's the same thing. It's extra money from the risk pool the older you are and the longer you live. And if you think about it, mortality credits are almost like a mini miracle. Because think about it. The insurance company doesn't know when I'm going to die, and they don't know when you're going to die. But they do know how long this whole room is going to live, almost to the exact day. And because of that, they can pay each and every one of us as though they knew exactly when we're going to die. I mean, think about it. Half of this room is going to die before the other half. That's a fact. We just don't know who's sitting on which side of the line. But the insurance company doesn't have to know. They just know they will set the payout rate based on the life expectancy of the whole pool. Some people will die early, some people live longer, but everyone in that pool will get a paycheck, the highest guaranteed paycheck of any product in the world, until the day they die. That's a pretty powerful piece. Now what you're looking at here is the way that mortality credits work in a SPIA, a single premium immediate annuity, or a DIA, a deferred income annuity, or if you just annuitize a contract. But many of you use fixed indexed annuities, some of you use RILAs or VAs to give income. Where are the mortality credits there? Well, let's take a look. Client puts in $100,000, they let it grow for a while, and then they turn on the lifetime income benefit. Well, first the interest is going to come out, that's taxable. Then the principal is going to come out, that's not taxable unless it's IRA or 401k rollover money. But even if the account's zero, the checks keep going. What's paying the checks when there's no money in the account? Mortality credits. All income annuities pay mortality credits. The older you are, the longer you live, the more of these mortality credits you get paid. So now I get some people say, well, Tom, I still don't understand mortality credits. I say, okay, I have a simple story. Every year, there were 5 9-year-old ladies who went on vacation. One year, one lady said, hey, let's each put $100 in this mason jar. And next year when we go on vacation, we'll bring the jar with us. And those of us who are still alive, we'll open the jar and we'll split the money. They said, Helen, that is a great idea. So you got 5 9-year-old ladies, they each put $100 in the jar, they sealed up the jar. What do you think happened the next year? Yeah, they forgot where they put the jar. No, I just made that one up. No, unfortunately, one lady's died. So now 4 ladies split the $500. They each get $125. That was a 25% rate of return in 12 months. I have 2 questions for you. How much of that money was invested in the stock market? 0. What interest rate did they earn that jar? 0. How they get paid 25% with no money in the market, no interest rate? Is because they got paid mortality credits. So ladies look at this, they look at their brokerage company, they say, this is a pretty good deal. I'm going to put it all back in the jar, seal it back up, and do it again. So they decided to let it ride. Next year, 1 more lady died. Now 3 ladies split the $500. They each get $167. That was a 67% return in 2 years. No money in the market, no interest rate. Why? Because they got paid mortality credits. Now I know some of you are thinking, you're saying, yeah, but Tom, my clients don't want their money to disappear when they die. Do they have to have the money disappear when they die? No, they can do joint life with their spouse. They can do joint life with their 5-year-old granddaughter. These things can pay for 100 years. All lifetime income annuities pay mortality credits. The older you are, the longer you live, the more of these credits you get paid. Now, don't forget about life insurance. We're going to talk about life insurance today. So so many people are so far underinsured for life insurance, it's not even funny. What you got to do when it comes to life insurance, you got to look at life insurance from the beneficiary's point of view. How much do they need? Where can they invest that money to get a safe rate of return? Because that might have to last them for the whole rest of their life. And so really, the amount of life insurance you need is tied directly to what the safe interest rate at the time is. Let me try to show you. Remember when interest rates were 1%? It wasn't that many years ago. 1%. How much would a beneficiary have to invest at 1% to get $50,000 of income? The answer is $5 million.
$5 million.
Now, how many of your clients that made $50,000 a year were walking around with $5 million policies? And how many $100,000 people were walking around with $10 million policies? All right? Well, now interest rates are 5%. How much would a beneficiary have to invest at 5% to give you $1 million? The answer is $1 million. That's not ridiculous. So what I'm saying is, as a minimum, your client should have at least $1 million of life insurance for every $50,000 of income. Now, some of you think that's too much. So now I'm going to tell you a story. And this is the true story of a widow who thought she was a millionaire. This happened about probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I'd been on the road all week, then I spoke for MDRT over the weekend, and then I kept going the next week. So I left my house, I was gone for 13 days. I come home for 1 day, a Saturday. I leave Sunday for 6 more days. So in this stretch, out of 20 days, I'm home 1 day. Well, a couple days before that Saturday, I get a call from my oldest son, Ryan. He said, Dad, I need a favor. My best friend's brother died 3 weeks ago, and his wife, the widow, just got the check. And it's a big check. And she wants to meet with you on Saturday. I said, Ryan, what does she want to meet with me for? I don't do any more personal production, not even for my own family. I don't. I'm licensed, I could, but I don't, because I don't want to have any tie to commissions or anything, so I can say I don't get paid to sell product, okay? So I said, what does she want to meet with me for? He said, well, that's why she wants to meet with you, because she knows you know this stuff and you're not going to try to sell her something. I said, Ryan, I've been gone for 13 days. I'm leaving for 6 days. I'm not going to go drive around the valley looking for somebody who wants to talk to me. But I said, here's what I will do. If they want to come to my house, I will meet with them at 9 a.m. So guess what? The widow, the dad, the brother show up at my house, sat around my dining room table. She was 42 years of age, 2 little girls, husband killed unexpectedly, a $1 million death claim. After I gave her my condolences, she said these words to me. She said, Tom, I never thought I'd be a millionaire. Now here's what I want to do. I want to build a custom house on a lake with a place for my daughters to play. I don't want a cookie cutter house. I want a custom house on a lake, a place for my daughters to play. I literally had to stop her mid-sentence and have time out. We're not talking any custom houses today. You realize you only have $1 million. We're in a 1% interest rate environment. That's $10,000 a year. Now, the experts say you can take out up to 4%. I think that's a little aggressive. I'd say maybe 3.8%. I said, you're really not a millionaire. You're a $38,000 a year woman, and there's no custom houses that I'm aware of available at $38,000 a year. She was shocked. What are you talking about? My husband made $250,000 a year. We can't live on $38,000 a year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what is the minimum? The minimum somebody making $250,000 a year should have in life insurance, $5 million. We could have a whole different conversation. But I am telling you a true story right now about a widow in Arizona who's living a $38,000 a year life with her 2 little girls. But I'm looking out now at all of you, wondering how many of you, if something happened to you on the way home, would your family be in the exact same position? My number 1 life insurance sales idea for you today is this: get your own situation straight. Make sure you are carrying no less than $1 million of life insurance for every $50,000 of income, and start recommending that on your appointments. They're not all going to buy it, but just say this: our firm professionally recommends you carry at least $1 million of life insurance for every $50,000 of income. And when they say, well, that sounds a little high to me, you tell them the story of the widow in Arizona who is now stuck living a $38,000 life with her 2 little girls. People are so far underinsured, it's not even funny. On the day you die, your spouse is going to ask 4 simple questions. And it's not going to be, do we have term life or whole life or do we have MetLife or New York Life or State Farm? Those aren't going to be the questions. The 4 questions your spouse is going to ask: how much life insurance do we have? How long will the dollars last? Can we stay in our same house, and can the kids go to the same school? My question to you is, what do you want the answers to be? And by the way, I would turn this around. When I was in the house and the guy would say, well, I'm not buying any more life insurance. She's going to run off with Fred at the bowling alley. They're flirting every Tuesday night at bowling league. I'm not going to pay for his retirement. When you got one of those guys, I'd say, okay, well, you're not going to be able to stay in this house. So, are you going to move in with her parents, or is she going to move in with your parent? What's the plan? And the kids won't be able to go to this school, so which school are they going to go to? Sometimes you gotta ask them some questions. Now, this question causes a lot of problems. Sometimes people, get mad when I say, what is the value of a human life? Oh, you can't put a value on a human life. I hate to tell you, every day, a judge, a jury, a court, an insurance company, somebody has to assign a value to a human life. If somebody gets killed in a car accident, if somebody dies in an accident, they have to assign a value to that person. How do you do that? Well, one of the best examples was the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. In fact, here's a little homework assignment. Jot this down. On Prime Video, on Amazon Prime, you can watch the movie Worth, W-O-R-T-H, Worth. It's all about the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. Well, if you remember, who was in those towers when they came down? Well, there were CEOs in that tower, there were busboys, there were waitresses, there were hedge fund managers. How do you value a busboy against a CEO? That's what they had to do. How do you do it? Well, here's what they did. They looked at 3 things. On the left, they looked at your age. On the top, they looked at how much money you make. And then above that, how many children you have. Whoa, children? What do children have to do with your human life value? They're a significant obligation. And without getting into the numbers, if you look up at the top left side of the numbers, That's young people with a bunch of kids. And the CEO on the bottom right, who's rich but doesn't have kids, and his human life value is less. Oh. And what this tells me is the people that need the most life insurance are the ones who come in your office and they got 3 or 4 or 5 kids and they're young. They need millions and millions of life insurance, and yet it's the old single people that are buying all the big policies. It's the young people that need a lot more life insurance. You can also go to lifehappens.org. They have a human life value calculator there, and you plug in their income, do they have any life insurance, you know, how many kids they got, all this stuff, and boom, it'll tell them what their human life value is. Now, let's talk human capital for a minute. Human capital has been studied by Ibbotson, by New York Life. All the major companies have studied human capital. And it can get a little confusing, but so I'm going to try to make it very simple. Human capital defined is this: the present value of all your future earnings. So all the money you're ever going to make for the rest of your life, you calculate that back with an inflation factor, that is your human capital. And when you add your human capital to your financial capital, your stocks, your bonds, your 401ks, all the money investing that you've done, that's your total economic wealth. And what these studies have found is that advisors are really only focusing on financial capital, and they should put a little more of their attention on the person's human capital. So here's how this works. Every one of us, as we go through life, we are supposed to turn our human capital into financial capital. And we do that by working and earning money and then saving and investing a portion of that into financial capital. So you can imagine a baby way over on the left. A baby has no financial capital, but that baby is worth millions and millions and millions in human capital. And then you can see as you get older, your human capital goes down. Why? Because you're running out of years to work. And hopefully your financial capital is going up. So as you can imagine, young people have more human capital, less financial capital. Older people hopefully have more financial capital because we know they have a lot less human capital. Well, it just so happens life insurance is the only thing that can protect your human capital. So if you've got somebody who says, I don't believe in life insurance, let's say their total economic wealth is 1.5 million, they have 700,000 in investments and 800,000 in human capital. If they die without life insurance, their family has just wasted, he's wasted that human capital. And all they get is the financial capital. And what the studies show is that everybody should take a little bit of their financial capital to buy life insurance so that whether you live or whether you die, your family is completely protected. Does that make sense? So life insurance is the only thing that will protect your human capital. So talk to people about not wasting their human capital. Now, I get people who say, well, Tom, she's a stay-at-home mom, or he's a stay-at-home dad, they don't make any money, they don't need any life insurance. That is false, false, false. And I can speak from authority on this because we have 4 kids and they're spread out over like 40. My oldest is 40 and my youngest is 23. So I mean, my wife was a stay-at-home mom for almost 40 years, all right? I always had a big policy on her. Why? Because if something happened to her, my career was over. I was on the road 200 days a year. I can't be on the road 200 days a year if I don't have somebody taking care of the kids. It's not how much money they make, it's the value that they bring to the house. And I think if you really inventoried what that stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad does, it's pretty darn valuable. And that's what you need to insure. Then I get people who say, Tom, I think it's disgusting that you want to benefit from the death of a child. I always recommend life insurance on children and grandchildren. On my own children and grandchildren, as soon as they're born, I buy the biggest policy that the company will issue on a newborn. I'm not doing that to benefit from the death of a child. I'm doing that to protect their insurability. If you read Paychecks and Playchecks, you'd know that my number 3 son, JJ, when he was 8 years old, we discovered a brain tumor the size of a tennis ball in the back of his brain. He had to undergo 7 hours of brain surgery. He was touch and go for about 2 weeks. Now he's in Poland in the U.S. Army, training Ukrainian soldiers, and they're going to send him to the Belarus border here in a little while, and that's got us a little concerned. But in order for him to continue to be in the Army, to even let him go in the Army made the brain surgeon re-examine him and say a letter of full, so JJ's fine. But JJ was uninsurable for many years.
but I had protected his insurability. Also, the cost of insurance for a baby is so low, it's a great way to just put some money aside for their college education or for a down payment on a first house. I'll give you my best prospecting idea for the holidays, November, December. I want you to run a 10-pay life on a 5-year-old boy and a 10-pay life on a 5-year-old girl, and you have it on your desk. And next time an older couple comes in and say, man, I got the best holiday gift idea for you, toys break, batteries go dead, you get one of these for each of your grandchildren. And you show them, see, they like a 10-pay, because they know they're not going to live for 100 more years. But they figure they got 10 more years in them, all right? And I'm telling you, grandparents love a 10-pay policy on grandchildren. Show that, all right? It's very powerful. Now, I use this technique when I'm on an appointment, and 99.99% of the time, if somebody's going to be a jerk, it's the guy. The guy is a total jerk, and he keeps interrupting, and you can't shut him up. So my technique is I point and I go, bam, you just got hit by a drunk driver, you're going to be dead for the next 10 minutes. Now let me talk to you. Here's what's going to happen. And he says, I got plenty of life insurance. Yeah, you got $250,000. Here's what's going to happen. He's dead. He got hit by a drunk driver. They're going to deliver you a check for $250,000. We're in a 5% interest rate. That's $2,500 a year. That's $200 a month. And he's saying you're going to be fine. Is there anything you want to say to him? And then I shut up.
I said, BS.
You got to remember, I can't change his mind, but she can. If you can convince her, she will convince him. Don't stop trying to convince the jerk, take the jerk out. And so for you Gen Zs, you go, bam, you just get hit by a texting driver, I guess, whatever, Okay, boomer, I get it, right, okay. Now, this is another true story. This happened, and if you get paychecks and playchecks, it's in the story. I got called in on an appointment to Sterling, Colorado, where the rancher was worth $15 million. And, state taxes are way different now than they were then. Don't get involved in that. This is a concept story. But the advisor was recommending $7 million of whole life insurance to cover the estate taxes at that time. Now, I don't know how many $7 million policies you've been on, or 20 million, or 50 million. I've been on a bunch. And they all go down the same way, and it kind of looks like this. What do you mean, life insurance? No. I don't need any life insurance. Didn't you do your homework before you came in here? We're $15 million. If I had one more penny to my name, the last place they would put that penny in life insurance, there will be no life insurance here today. That's how the appointments go. You better get used to it. Well, I'm used to it. So my technique is I get up, I go sit down right next to the guy, and I say, sir, by golly, I got to get on your side of the table on this, and I completely agree. You're worth $15 million. You don't need any life insurance in the traditional sense of life insurance. What you need is a way to transfer your $15 million to your children and grandchildren in the most tax-efficient manner possible. Now, if we could do that with stocks or bonds or Coca-Cola cans, we would. But it just so happens life insurance has a special place in the tax code. It can be transferred income and estate tax-free if we set it up properly. So while I agree with you completely, you don't need any life insurance in the traditional sense, you need a wealth transfer vehicle that just happens to be life insurance. Well, that works about 70% of the time. On this appointment, it worked just like this. He said, well, I don't know if you thought I was born at night, but it wasn't last night, and there'll be no life insurance here today, and there's the doors right there. You can help yourselves right on out. And I'm not making it up. The advisor opens up his bag, and he pulls out 4 plastic cows from like a kid's farm set. He set them right on the table. He said, Mr. Rancher, these are your 4 cash cows. This one represents all your land. This one represents all your buildings. This one represents all your farm equipment. And this one represents all your investments. Now, I've been sitting here, I listened to Tom, and I clearly heard him say that if we don't do something, when you die, the IRS is going to come in here and they're going to butcher 2 of them there cows, and they're going to keep the meat. But you know what I heard Tom say? He said it didn't have to be that way. If we just took a little milk on each of them there 4 cows, and we used the milk to buy a life insurance policy, when you die, the life insurance policy goes to the IRS. Your family gets all 4 of your cash cows. Now, one of those 2 things is going to happen. You get to pick which one. It's like a light bulb went over this guy's head. He said, well, heck, every rancher knows it's better give up a little milk than to butcher 2 good cows. Now, what's my point? My point is, I couldn't explain estate planning to him. The attorney couldn't explain it. The accountant couldn't explain it. You put 4 plastic cows in front of the guy, turns into an estate planning genius. Here's what I learned that day. Number 1, keep it simple. Number 2, speak their language. Keep it simple. Speak their language. Keep it simple. Speak their language. If I was with a trucking firm, I'd have 4 Tonka trucks on my desk. I'd take a little diesel out of each of the trucks to buy a policy. If I had a real estate tycoon in my house, I'd have 4 apartment buildings on my desk, and we're gonna take a little rent out of each of the 4 apartment buildings to pay for the policy. Keep it simple, speak their language. Now, no matter how good you are at life insurance or annuities or whatever, you're gonna get people who say, I don't like annuities. I heard they're bad, they're a ripoff. Well, here's the deal. You can't change their mind. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You can't change their mind, but you can do what I do. I put information in front of them so they can change their own mind. What you want to do is, instead of trying to change their mind, give them information so they can change their own mind. So what I want you to do right now is put on your anti-annuity hat. You are all annuity haters as of right now. And let me see if I can't just warm you up a little so that you maybe say, maybe I should check this thing out. All right, so there's a brand new white paper out from the Alliance for Lifetime Income, Dr. David Blanchett, Dr. Michael Finke. It's called Guaranteed Income, a License to Spend. Now here's what's interesting. I am now mostly retired. I'm 70% retired. I play golf 4 to 5 days a week. I play pickleball 2 days a week. My wife and I have been traveling the world. But here's what I've learned about retirement. Retirement is all about spending money. It's 100% about spending money. It really is. It's spending money. That's all you do in retirement is you spend money. And you got to know that there's 2 types of people in this world, savers and spenders. Which are you? I've always been a saver. For my entire career, I saved 30 to 40% of my income. My wife is a spender, okay? She makes sure we don't live in a hut. We have some nice things around the house, okay? And by the way, I think that's the best combo, a spender and a saver. Because if you've got 2 savers, yeah, you're going to have a lot of money, but you're going to live a really boring life. If you have 2 spenders, oh man, you're going to party like it's 1999. You're going to, he who dies with most toys wins. But you get divorced in your 50s because you fight over money issues. So I think that the saver-spender is the best combination, okay? But how do you get a saver who doesn't like to spend money to turn into a spender in retirement? And you all see these people. The retirees, they got a lot of money and they never touch it. Well, we don't need it. Well, we're fine, Whoa, we're happy the way we are. That's why my parents were like, Dad, why don't you buy a new couch? We like it, well, there's a hole there. Yeah, we like that hole right there. We like it that way. That's the way some people are. But those are the savers that you got to try to turn into spenders. And what worked for me as a saver, I have 13 annuities. I got paychecks and paychecks coming in all the time, and I will spend those. I just don't want to go into my savings and investments. I'll spend all my paychecks and paychecks. And that's what this white paper says. Retirees who are behaviorally resistant to spending down savings may better achieve their lifestyle goals by increasing the share of their wealth allocated to annuitized income. Essentially, annuities give retirees a psychological license to spend their savings in retirement. Surveys reveal a clear preference among retirees to live off income, and many don't feel comfortable spending down assets to fund a lifestyle. Dr. Michael Finke, Dr. Wade Pfau, if the REITs you save for retirement to provide a secure lifestyle, there's no more efficient way to create lifetime income than through an annuity. Those aren't my words. Those are 2 of the smartest PhDs in the world. Income annuities are less expensive and safer for risk-averse retirees whose primary goal is income security in retirement. Look, the number 1 knock on annuities is they say the fees are too high. And yet, most of the annuities you're selling have no fees at all. I mean, let's think about it. A single premium immediate annuity, SPIA, that's not a fee product. A deferred income annuity, a DIA, that's not a fee product. A MIGA, multi-year guarantee annuity, that is not a fee product. A base fixed index annuity is not a fee product. Do you understand? There's not a fee in those products. There might be a surrender charge in some of those products, but there's no fee. So how do you explain to a client, how can the insurance company make money if there's no fee? You better be able to answer that. Here's how I answer it. Let me ask you a question. When you go down to the bank and you buy a CD, a certificate of deposit or certificate of depreciation, whatever you want to call it, does the bank charge you a fee? No. Is the bank working for free? No. They pay you 4%, They lend out your money to your neighbor kid at a 9% loan on his car, and they keep the spread. It's called the spread product. Most annuities are spread products. They're not fee products. So let's say an insurance company guarantees a person 5% a year for 6 years. If they don't make more than 5% a year for 6 years, they're going to lose money. They don't charge a fee. There is not a fee. You understand that? You've got to be able to say that. And that's what they're talking about right here. Most annuities are not fee products. BlackRock. So BlackRock sells no annuities. BlackRock has $11 trillion in the stock market. They have more money in the market than Vanguard, more money in the market than Fidelity. But they got a lot of smart people. And they have found that if you add guaranteed lifetime income to a retirement portfolio, it improves the portfolio performance because of what? The mortality credits. The mortality credits ensure that the annuity pays more than what bonds pay, okay? So here's BlackRock. Adding guaranteed lifetime income combined with a more aggressive asset allocation generates 29% more annual spending ability for one's retirement savings and reduces downside risk by 33%. On top of that, delaying retirement and claiming Social Security benefit from 65 to 67 boosts total annual spending another 16% and reduces downside risk by an additional 15%. The Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, annuities by pooling longevity risk and generating mortality credits allow a higher level of income and insurance against premature exhaustion of assets than other drawdown strategies. Lifetime income products are a cornerstone of retirement planning. If I had to pick one slide, that would be my slide. That's what I do. That's what I talk about. Lifetime income annuities are a cornerstone of retirement planning. U.S. News and World Report, you buy an annuity because that's what no other investment can do. Provide guaranteed lifetime income for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. Dr. Roger Ibbotson did an entire white paper where he compared fixed index annuities to bonds. And you know what he found? Fixed index annuities have outperformed bonds for the last 40 years and are likely to do so for the next 40 years. So you don't need to move their stock portfolio, move their bond portfolio into annuities. That's what this is showing. The Wall Street Journal, the case for replacing some bonds with annuities. Tommy's not making this stuff up. BlackRock, a case for fixed index annuities in accumulation. It's not just income, it's also in accumulation. Barclays sells no annuities. They say fixed index annuities outperform bonds. Learn where our products beat other products and then focus on those areas. Annuities beat bonds. Ernst & Young sells no annuities. They're an accounting firm. And yet they got a lot of smart people and they used AI and they said, okay, let's put all this stuff in a mathematical machine and let's see what would the optimal retirement portfolio look like. You know what they came up with? This is Ernst & Young. 30% whole life insurance, 30% income annuity, 40% investments. I'm not making it up. That's an accounting firm, one of the top ones. And so, you know, what the research shows is that people should have 20 to 40% of their retirement portfolio in income annuities. And then don't forget about the happy factor. You know, when I do seminars, I always ask the audience, when you're retired, do you want to be happy or unhappy? They go, happy. You don't sound like it. And then some later go, happy. And I go, she sounds like she's happy. Well, it's good because the Wall Street Journal discovered the secret to a happier retirement is friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity. See, the Wall Street Journal studied who are the happiest people in retirement. You know what they found? People surrounded by their friends, surrounded by their families, who had guaranteed paychecks every single month. In fact, let me ask you a question. Who are your happiest retired clients? I'll bet it's retired teachers, retired military, retired government, policemen, firemen, people with pensions. And what are pensions? Pensions are lifetime income annuities. What is Social Security? It's a lifetime income annuity. So when people say, I don't like annuities, you say, really? So you actually called up the Social Security Administration and stopped your Social Security check? How did you do that? You called your company to stop your pension because you don't like annuities? Well, those are different. No, those are lifetime income annuities. You love your Social Security, you love your pension, guess what? You're going to love your lifetime income annuities too. Time magazine found the same thing in Great Britain. Lifetime income stream key to retirement happiness. A new study in the land of grumps reveals that retirees with a guaranteed lifetime income stream can find true happiness. The American College, how annuities can increase happiness in retirement. When clients know how much income they receive every month for life, they know what kind of housing and activities they can afford, allowing them to choose the lifestyle that makes them the happiest. Now, out of all the slides in my deck, this one relates the most to me. I told you for 30 years I was on the road 200 days a year. I'm a golfer. I couldn't justify a country club membership. I could play maybe 3 times a month. That'd be a ripoff. No good. I didn't do it. I had no country club membership. Well, guess now I'm retired. I have 2. I have one up in Flagstaff in the summer, where it's like 75 degrees instead of 120, and then I got one down in Northeast Mesa for the winter. And so my wife and I, we just got back from a cruise. We did a Viking cruise, Budapest to Amsterdam. We've been on a Panama Canal cruise. We're going on another Panama Canal cruise this spring. We did a Mediterranean cruise for our 40th. We're doing another Mediterranean cruise for next fall. We're going to Panama for a week. We're going to Mexico for a week. We have designed a lifestyle that makes us the happiest, okay? Now, some people might look at my life and say, man, that sucks. I'd rather have a cabin out in the woods and go hunting and fishing, like my brother-in-law would say. Good, you can do that. Other people might want to say, I want to live in New York City and go to Broadway plays and eat fancy dinners. Good, do that, you know? We've designed a lifestyle that makes us, I feel like I'm at summer camp every day. I mean, I won the club championship in 2020. I won the senior club championship in 2022 by 10. This year, I just won the senior club championship. Now I got invited to play in the PGA National Club Championship in December in Palm Springs. I mean, I'm like at camp. We're having a great time in retirement, and that's what I want for everybody. And that's what you can do if you've got enough of these paychecks and playchecks. Now, some of you follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook. If you don't, you probably should. I post some fun things. I recently posted a Freakonomics study. It's actually a University of Chicago study. Freakonomics picked up on it, pushed it out through social media. It was a University of Chicago study that studied people who bought lifetime income annuities versus people who didn't. You know what they found? The people that had the guaranteed income lived longer than the people that didn't. Here's what the research shows. Research shows that people who buy annuities tend to live longer. And not just because of the kind of people that have the money to buy annuities to start with. It's apparently that little extra incentive of the annuity payout that keeps people going. Oh, I think I can hang on for one more check. Yeah, I'll stick it to a theme.